We are back. West Ham 2, Crystal Palace 1, our second pre-season game of this mini situation we're in just now. We are here for the review after, of course, we did the review against the QPR game. And we got a few familiar faces, of course, Alf, Stell, and Sean. And I think we've got a fifth one here, Nigel. How are you all, guys?
Oh,
Here he is. Here he is.
he smelt a rat earlier, but I didn't let it on. They needed some backup, Sean, to take you on. They brought the heavy guns out.
So listen, of course, West Ham have played their second. Well, you don't call it pre-season, but it's a pre-season for the mini league we're about to take place in. And of course, West Ham won 2-1, and there's been lots of rumours kicking about of goal scorers for West Ham and Crystal Palace. But we'll pass over, if you don't mind, Sean, giving us a bit of a rundown on the goal scorers and little bit of info on that, please.
So Sebastian Haller scored for the second game running. I'm not sure it is a pre-season; it's a practice game, and maybe the scores are meaningless, which is why the club's not releasing it. But yeah, Haller scored for a second game. And the strange one, the person Benteke then evened it up for Palace, but who scored the winner? Jeremy Ngakia played and scored the winner for West Ham, which is a strange state of affairs, I must admit. And when I was first told, I had to check it with about 3 or 4 other sources because I went, that can't be right. And lo and behold, about 4 sources later, I thought, yeah, all right, it must be true, and it is true.
This is an unusual one, isn't it? Sorry, yeah. Go on.
No, I was just about to say. So basically, a few days ago, it was bye Jeremy, and now it's all hail the new king. What's going on here? Why was he playing? And why? Well, not why is he scoring, because that's good, obviously. But why was he playing? What's going on?
Well, I understand, and I've just literally spoken to someone before I came on, that pretty much everybody in the squad got some game time today. So it wasn't a case of him being in the starting lineup. He came on for the last 30 minutes and scored. I think you're going to find that if there's a squad of, I don't know, 25 or 30, you might find they all had some game time today. But that said, David Moyes came out himself and said he was disappointed. It was like a kick in the teeth. I was told initially that he wasn't going to train. He was going to train on his own and not train with the first team. So I don't exactly know what's happened, because I was told they didn't want distraction. The reason David Moyes made his announcement in the London Evening Standard was he didn't want the distraction of Ngakia to drag on. Look, this guy has not signed an extension, right? His agents have not asked for a particular money to stay, despite other stories saying to the contrary. And yet he is days away from not having enough time to re-register. It's a week before the 30th. So if he's going to sign a new contract, it's got to be on the 23rd of June. I find the whole thing strange. Why he played today for 30 minutes?
It is a bit of a concern in a way that if you've got a player that is clearly not going to be committed, whether it's through agents or whether it's by his own volition, then why would he even be in or around the squad? I think we kind of all more or less have said individually goodbye, and good luck to him, and wherever he's going to go, let's hope he gets first team football as often as he might have got it at West Ham. And all of a sudden, even to get half an hour of play seems rather odd to me. And I think it's a distraction.
Perhaps it was an own goal.
I don't think so.
Perhaps it was in our column.
Because he's going to Palace. Is that correct?
As the saying goes,
he scored for his new club.
Yeah.
As the old saying goes, it's never over until Nigel sings. And you never know. He may have had a really late change of heart. But I guess we're going to know.
we're not talking about any kind of injuries that have forced him to come on, are we, or anything like that?
Well, I don't know. It's too early to say. We know that Fredericks played in the last one. You've got a new image that's just been. Did you see Fredericks in it? Who did you spot? Did Pablo Zabaleta, of course, is. They look like they're going to give him a extension for 4 weeks. It's going to cost us 280 grand, and obviously Ben Johnson's fit. So the likelihood of all those three falling down injured the last few days, what was it, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, in 3 days, I think is unlikely. But if you carefully look at the image you've got that the club released, maybe you can make out which players.
Yeah, I'm just loading up the images now. So while you're talking, I'll load them up. Yeah.
So just to go back to a few things, because we've got loads of people watching, which is not like Irons United. So just to get the question.
We've got our regulars, and thanks very much for tuning in.
We've got our two regulars, Sean and Nigel.
We brought our 8 listeners over from more than just the podcast.
Well, it's only because you two are on. It's only because you two are on. We've got loads of people coming on now.
A lot of people are on asking questions, things like with regards to the club, what they're looking for information is the setup behind walking onto the park. So do we know anything about, like, do the players walk on the park to music, or are there any plans for the players to walk on to things like bubbles, or is it all very, like, friendly-ish atmosphere? Do we know anything on that?
Today?
Yep.
Oh, no, there's no bubbles or anything. I mean, right. They have to pay for bubble machines. It's an outside contractor who comes in, does it. So there's no bubbles or music in these practice games. I mean, it literally is trying to get them used to playing behind. There might not even be bubbles on Saturday, by the way, because bubbles, the theme tune, everything has to be run by the Premier League. And I've asked the club a number of times, will there be bubbles when they score? Will there be bubbles when they come out? Will the bubble machines be going? And they're saying, we can't say yet. I'm sure they will be. But the Premier League is becoming control freaks at the moment, that everything for every Premier League club has to be approved, which is why there's these red zones, amber zones, etc. I think it came out yesterday. Red zone passes are, I think, what was it? Is it 50 red zone passes for the whole of West Ham? So you get, you get your team 25 or whatever, and then you get your coaching staff and some media staff. It's very, very limited on who's allowed in the red zone, and from broadcasters as well. So you can't get club employees like sneaking in or anything. It's going to be very, very restricted on the day.
I think the thing that confuses me, I get the point about David Moyes not wanting to give too much information out there, but we are literally one of the. There's not many clubs out there that are really keeping everything secretive. I mean, the other night, you just turn on Sky Sports News and they've got cameras in the football club's training grounds that are playing games. Newcastle United, you could see the playing. Do we think that will give us an upper hand on the opposition come Wolves next week?
I've been told two things. I've been told that David Moyes thinks the whole thing about publishing goals and videos and broadcasting practice matches is a bit naff because it's meaningless. It means nothing. It gives a false sense of, success. Yeah. So we beat QPR 4-1, even though on the second half QPR put their kids on. Right. So what does that mean? They put their kids on. We don't know who Palace put on. I mean, we probably had 20.
Well, we were so bad. Benteke scored.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I'm more surprised at that than Ngakia.
Listen, I'm all right with Benteke. I think he's all
right. Come on, no.
So let's not look. I know everyone's interested in. Sometimes when it's forbidden, it makes it more interesting. That's why you've got the extra viewers, and people read this. If you say to people, right, here it is, official live broadcast. No one will go, it's a practice game, can't be asked. But if you say it's forbidden, there's no information, it's forbidden fruit, and everybody wants to know. So there's a little bit of a mystery of it. But my understanding is David Moyes thinks it's a load of naff, and other clubs like Arsenal that have published videos and everything, he just doesn't want to do anything. But secondly, he generally doesn't want to give away formations and who might be starting against Wolves. Now, whether that's right or wrong, he's the manager and he makes that decision. And, you know, I talked to the club a lot, and a number of other journalists went, I can't believe it. Come on, give us something. They went, no. Just to be clear, the club have refused to confirm the scores or official media or the scorers, even to this day on the QPR and the West Ham. Obviously, we have other sources in the club which we've confirmed, but, you know, players talk, agents talk, groundsmen talk. You know, there's always ways to find out these things. Nothing's ever a secret.
Absolutely. What are you going to say, Stel?
I've got some images, you know, to give us to show who's played today, and you know, Sean's right. Everyone's had a little go. Anderson has played today, which is nice to see him. I actually hope he'll be one of our starters. We've got Antonio and Souček who've had a run out. Jim Bowen has had a game.
Smashing great.
Pablo Fornals, Fredericks, Allaire. And it looks like, I mean, for me, the one thing with Allaire scoring, it doesn't matter that it's friendlies. Strikers, you know, they like scoring goals, whether it's a friendly or not. It gives them that momentum. And the fact that he scored in 2 games in a row, friendly or not, I think is good for him. And it seems to me that it might imply that we're actually beginning to play to his strengths, maybe. All right, they are only friendlies. Okay, the first game was against QPR's youngsters, but nonetheless, strikers thrive on goals, don't they? So he scored twice in 2 games. That can't be a bad thing.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, looking at them pictures there with the empty seats, I mean, the club have put out 59,940 were in attendance.
I knew you were going to say that. That's an old joke, isn't it? The official attendance was 59,000.
But have you sent in your photo now to the club? Have you sent in your photo so they can?
Yeah, I have. Yeah.
Yeah.
They already had your photo, Sean. Most wanted.
He got Canning Town Lint to join the slimmer version.
Listen, no, but the point on Sebastian Allaire, I mean, you've got to think back to the Southampton game before COVID-19 and the support that he had with Antonio and Bowen. I mean, that was an exciting game. Of course, we went into the Arsenal game, but then, you know, go as well as we wanted, but we've done all right. Is it a sight? I mean, with these images you're seeing here and knowing that Allaire has scored a couple of goals, are we starting to kind of picture the lineup that potentially Moyes may go with a couple of surprises? I mean, does anyone have any idea where we're going to go with this?
I don't think anyone really has an idea what the starting lineup's going to be, but I think what's good, what it's good and bad, is that Moyes has got a big squad to choose from, and he'll be able to change, especially with 5 subs coming on, which I don't agree with, by the way, but I think 5 is too many. He's going to be able to change the way we're playing during a game, you know, and bring the likes of whoever, Wiltshire, Yarmolenko, or whoever on to change the game.
I can tell you.
Yeah, go on.
I can tell you who people want to line up, because of course at Clarence Hugh we've done a people's choice with 400 people voting who they want to be the
he loves plugging away, doesn't he, Nige?
Oh, don't make
I was just about to say who, what website, who?
Yeah. Go on, Sean. Go on.
Mark Noble and Anderson don't make the team, so obviously in goal is Fabianski, got almost maximum votes. Cresswell, who seems to be fit now, Diop almost maximum votes. Same with Abona. Who knows? He's carrying a knock, whether it be fit or not. Fredericks again gets not quite it, but he gets ahead of. Funny enough, Ngakia, who is still left in there, and Ben Johnson and Zabaleta. Obviously, maximum votes for Declan Rice, and then Fornals, who was obviously very good form before it finished. Antonio, Souček. That doesn't leave room for Anderson or Noble. They're both dropped.
You picked 14 players, yeah.
Hang on, Allaire and Jim Bowen up front or just behind.
And that's interesting because because I, in my starting lineup, I don't think Noble will start, to be honest with you, because that means you've either got to drop Bowen or Antonio or Fornals or Souček or Rice. And all of those players get in before him, in my view.
Yeah, but the big but to all this is that the last 3 months, things can change dramatically in 3 months. You think about when players go away for pre-season, they have a great season. They have a pre-season. They come into next year and they don't play as well. Like, so in theory, I know we're not in a pre-season just now, but the players haven't been playing for 3 months. So some of these players couldn't be performing in training. I mean, Lanzini, this could be the opportunity for Lanzini to come back and find form, and he could be performing in the training ground, and Moyes could be thinking, I quite fancy that, I mean, Sean, I can see your face there.
Jack Wilshere could start.
Well, yeah. I was just about to say, and I got mocked for it, that apparently Moyes has been speaking highly of Wilshere in pre-season. Well, it's not pre-season, is it? In the build-up to the resumption of the league, and who knows?
A couple of crappy practice games. Let's say what they are.
No doubt. I mean, getting on to when we actually start the season proper. I must be alone here. Maybe I'm a lone voice. I don't know, but I cannot see Moyes dropping Noble for the first game. I cannot see it.
You're probably right.
I can't play that midfield that's still picked. Defensively, we're still bad. We know with Creswell. And if we have Fredericks or Zabaleta, we've got a problem there, and it will need protecting. Ogbonna could be out. You've got to go with Rice and Noble as a protection. You can't play 4 or 5 attacking midfielders.
But Souček does that too, though. Souček does the protecting as well.
Yeah, but he's still too new to the Premier League. You can't.
I just wonder actually if Ogbonna doesn't play, if he's still injured, is there a chance that Rice gets dropped to the back line and then he plays Souček and Noble in the middle? That's a possibility.
He's the best replacement back there by if not, he's the best centre half we've got, in my opinion. Declan Rice. But Souček is, in my opinion, I know what you're saying, Nigel, he's still new to the league, but so far in the games he's played, I think he's been phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. In particular, the Liverpool game, I know we were unfortunate with that, but he was so influential in that 60 minutes he played. He was involved in absolutely everything. We'd done a watch along, and it's funny because when we'd done the watch along, we didn't do it before, and we just every 2 minutes, every second, we were just saying Souček, 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 Souček. He was intercepting everything. He was
but you would play him with Rice and Noble. You wouldn't play him instead of Noble. You've got to have the protection now.
But here's the dilemma then, Nigel. You see, if all 3 of them play, let's say all 3 of them start in the middle, that means you're going to lose something in attack. That means you've either got to drop Bowen or Antonio or Fornals, which means that Allaire is going to be Do you really, though? He's been on form. He's been on form.
But Souček has got the ability to link up with Haller. You keep Bowen out wide and you keep Antonio out wide as well. Yeah. Bowen comes in off the wing. They put him out wide. He generally plays wide right and comes in with his left foot. And he will link up well with Haller. And you got exactly the same on the other wing with Antonio coming in off the right. That's the way Moyes was setting up at the end.
Yeah.
And,
but Fornals was playing, though. Fornals was playing, and he was on form as well in the last few games. And it would be harsh to have him. I mean, because it would seem to me, if you play Souček, Noble, and Rice, it will sound defensive to me. It'd be like he'll be inviting teams to come at us, which is my fear.
Well, but still, they're not being funny. When you look at West Ham as a club, the one problem we've always had is conceding goals. Only one season in the Premier League, we had a positive goal difference. Yeah. So it's defensively, we have to think, we have to start there and then pick up what you can up front.
Well, listen, while we're on the defence, we're kind of glanced over the fact that Ngakia scored the goal today, which is really interesting considering some of the stories that have come out over the last few weeks. We probably didn't expect Ngakia alone to be wearing the West Ham strip, let alone scoring a goal. What do we know about this? Does anyone know anything about this? Hint, hint, wink, wink. Any sources close to the club, Sean?
Sean.
Yeah. Well, I want my right reply sometime about Stell and Nigel slagging me off your last video where you accused me of being a poor source when I got the 3 goal scorers right, and Nigel had some fake source on Facebook and said Allaire got 2. Who was it? Allaire scored 2. Who else did you have? 4 nows and 1 other. Who was your other?
Jeff Hurst.
And Anderson got a hat trick, and Allaire scored the other 2.
Yeah, rubbish. I gave you, Stell, just so your listeners, I gave you 3 goal scorers, didn't I? Before you went on air.
You did.
Were they?
Did you get one of them wrong?
Oh, we didn't.
Well, didn't Masuaku get the 4th?
He did get the 4th, but I'll be very honest. I'll be honest to Sean. He didn't give me the 4th goal scorer. Someone else on this show today gave me the 4th goal scorer, and it was wrong.
Yeah, we fed a dummy.
So I've got to hold my hands up. I've got to hold my hands up.
That's anyway. Right, let's talk about Ngakia. Look, so I know a lot's been said about Ngakia. All I know is, forget the figures. Ngakia was offered a 3-year permanent professional contract. He was offered a basic, I don't know the exact amount, that is significantly more than he's being paid already as a scholar. He was paid a very significant starting bonus or appearance bonus, and he was promised an automatic pay rise at 10, 15 and 20 games. Now, lots of people have spoken about the figures that have come from a lot of different sources, including Clarence New, the Daily Mail, that he wanted 20 grand. More recently, from his agent, he wanted 8 grand. In the last week, I've been told that his agents did not negotiate. They just rejected every deal put in front of them. When they were asked, well, what does he want? There wasn't any dialogue. If a player wants to stay, there's got to be dialogue. You can go, I want 8 grand basic, or I want 10, etc. My sources say there was none of that. And even more flabbergasting, when they asked him to say, okay, well, can you sign to the end of the season? Most players would. They said no. At that point, that's when David Moyes came out and did his article last week in the to put it to bed in the Evening Standard. And I was told the reason he did that was he was worried the distraction of Ngakia in the press and everywhere else was going to be distraction for his preparations. Now, at the time I was told, Ngakia was unlikely to train with the first team and would be training on his own at Rush Green. So, yeah, I'm just as flabbergasted that he got 30 minutes of time. Well, I'm flabbergasted that it was included in the matchday squad. And as I said, I think I said earlier, my understanding, talking to a senior source before we came on air, was David Moyes wanted to give everybody a chance. Read on into that what you will, and I'm sure there'll be a lot of haters out there who will go, you said this, you said that. Well, things change.
I can only think that means that they might have come to some kind of, or they might be close to an agreement, but it does sound rather weird to me that he got any game time at all.
Yeah, and it's not charity, is it? You don't just go on. I'll play you for 30 minutes because I want to reward you for your 5 years at West Ham. Yeah. And just one last thing on Ngakia, and I wrote this morning. We are entitled to compensation. So the rules are anyone under the age of 24 who leaves a club after they've invested in them. He joined West Ham at 14. He's now 19. I think he's a Deptford boy, if I remember rightly. We've done all the training in. If he turns up at another club, then we can go to that club and ask for compensation. And
that's only like 270 grand or something.
Well, it's not actually, because we can put our own valuation on the player, right, and say how much we've invested in him, how much wages we paid on him to develop him, and we can also say what he could go on to do. So, and I forget the precedent, but we did have one player that we had this deal that if he played for the first team, we'd get this much. If he played for England, we'd get this much, etc. So you can do those kind of deals. Of course, the player in question, I forget it was probably Freddie Sears or something, didn't go on to do anything.
Domingos, Quina.
It probably was. Actually, I think
Watford.
Yeah, that is. It was.
Yeah.
Now, in this case, I don't know who the club is. We've heard Palace, we've heard Arsenal, we've heard Spurs mentioned.
But also a couple of German clubs as well, apparently.
If it was a Premier League club, then we would negotiate with them and say, do you owe us compensation? If that can't be agreed, that will go to arbitration, and a special independent tribunal would set the fee and any add-ons by saying, I think one person from the Premier League, one from the PFA, and one from the League Managers Association would agree it. But you're right, this has thrown a spanner in the works, and we're all reading into it going, has there been a change of mind? With 7 days before we can't register him anymore, is he going to sign for the rest of the season? Is there a chance he could actually stay with us? It would be a strange state of affairs. It could all be put down to media people like us running a story. But remember, David Moyes came out and said this in the paper just a few days ago. This is not made up. He said it's like a kick in the teeth. This guy is leaving us.
Do you think there's a lot to be said? Because he said to Moyes also that it wasn't his choice to leave. Is that correct?
Yeah.
So that means agent, doesn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. That there are significant.
No,
agents.
I think Moyes said he wasn't his choice to stay.
Wasn't his choice to stay.
And I think that was lost in translation. Perhaps Anton could have helped us out with that. The fact that he speaks Moyes language better. But the way I read it was that Moyes was saying that the lad has chose not to stay with us.
Oh, okay.
I don't read it that way.
Is that a good translation there, Ant?
Yeah, you done well, mate.
Okay, yeah.
Could this be a last-ditch effort from Moyes to actually say to Ngakia, right, look, I'll put you on for 30 minutes. Come on, reconsider playing for West Ham. Could it be? I mean, I know it's only a guess.
What else could it be? You're right. What else could it be?
Yeah.
It's going to be an interesting couple of weeks. But something else that's come out of today's game is, and I don't know if we need to read in too much on this, but Declan Rice wore the captain's armband. So do we read anything into this at all? Does that give us any form of sign that something may change next week?
Well, again, for me, this could be just another a dangling of the carrot, just in case, just to fend off any advances from any other clubs as well. It's all about keeping your players happy. Obviously, the priority now is just seeing out the end of the season. But when all the floodgates open and all clubs can start buying players again.
Well, this is an interesting thing. Sorry, Alf. Apparently, the transfer window's open now. Is that correct?
No.
I read earlier today that if FIFA have said that the transfer windows can open with almost immediate effect. But I know the Premier League have said it won't happen until we finish our season.
So FIFA gives some guidance, but it's down to each individual association to set their own. So the guidance says this is going to happen. But no, the Premier League need to vote on it. And I think they're looking to open it up on the 27th of July, 24 hours after the end of the season, and it to end on the 2nd of October.
Well, they have said, though, that there is FIFA have announced and have, like you said, Sean, but they have put it to each individual league to say they can open before the season ends if they want to. So, as you said, it will go to the clubs to decide.
It will go to the next meeting next Thursday for them to vote on it. It needs 14 clubs. But my understanding is there is no appetite to open the transfer window before the end of the season. That would cause chaos.
Yeah. It would. It would.
Ridiculous.
So we won't totally draw away the focus from what clubs have to do, and that's get as many points as they can in that.
So we won't be doing a swap deal for Declan going to Chelsea and Batshuayi and Bakayoko coming over to us with a 20 million on top. Then
no way. I've been told absolutely. I was told. I spoke to a Zealand source who said that was stupid. It was a daft rumour. It's not going to happen. Declan Rice is the last player that would be sold if we had to. The last absolute player. That means he's even after Carlos Sanchez. Oh no, Carlos Sanchez is leaving.
He's going anyway.
Roberto, even after Roberto.
So on that, with taking COVID out of the equation, would that still be the same, or has? Yeah.
This is in the last few days. They do not. There's two reasons for that. Number one, they think that Declan's still got a part to play in our survival and our future next season. But secondly, look, Declan will be sold. He won't retire at West Ham like Billy Bonds, a record holder, whatever. But they want the maximum money. The market is depressed. And exactly. People haven't got enough money. And, if he's £100 million player, and he might be one day, we're not going to get top dollar for him this summer. No. Maybe next summer, but not this summer. We're not going to let any players go on the cheap. You don't sell the star asset maybe 30 or 50% cheaper than the market value. So unless we absolutely on our knees and need the money, I've been told other players will be sacrificed and sold to fund other incoming before Declan Rice. And
does that mean our other top buys like Allaire and Anderson won't be sold on the cheap as well? Or would they be the sort of players that could be sacrificed?
I think unless we got back similar values to what we paid for them, we're not going to let them go on the cheap. You know, it really grates them.
I think that's the right thing as well, though, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I mean, look, there are plenty of other players that might, obviously Hasanbegovic was sold. I don't know the exact fee. We bought him for $3 million. I think maybe we got a similar amount back. But, Masuaku, Yarmolenko, even Fredericks, there are a number of players that could be at the fringes that could get up to maybe 10 million each or 3 or 4 million here and there that would allow us to invest in some other cheaper players from, I've been told, Championship, lower divisions and foreign leagues. Any time you see a big name in the Premier League, and we've seen a lot of them, we've seen 2 rumours from Liverpool in the last week. I mean, Lallana and Klein, forget it, Crocs, both of them, 29, 31. Moyes is not looking, and by the way, one of them's on 110 grand a week, the other one's on 70 grand. It ain't going to happen. It's recycling content for the sake of it.
So do we have any more news about today's game, given this is meant to be a review rather than a West Ham summary?
No, is the answer, because what did we know about the QPR game beyond the goal scorers and the score?
Very little. Yeah, very little.
And he wants it that way. And do you know what? Haven't we got a duty of care, Stel?
The rest of us have. I'm not sure about you.
Haven't we got a duty of care to fulfill David Moyes' wishes in not revealing too much?
Well, I guess we do. Because Claret, you have a duty of care as well, then.
Absolutely.
I'm only winding you up, Sean.
If we have a duty of care, everybody, that means might as well just end this right now.
Well, no, let's carry on because we've got more viewers than we normally have.
Well, we can go to questions, can't we? Can we go to questions?
There's shitloads actually.
Yeah, I'll let you do that. Still,
well, you directed
there. So what we got here? Ngakia scores. Sign him. We must not. It's an odd one, isn't it, Nick? That he even played, and we're all baffled by it.
But as I say before, if they haven't given a price to sign him, it's a bit hard to offer him what he wants, isn't it?
Yeah. Excited for next week. How excited are you all for next week? It's 7 days time.
Yeah.
We're back. I mean, excited. What are the thoughts?
So I'll be honest with you. When they announced it initially, I wasn't, but I'm starting to get that excitement back, and I get that excitement. I know, again, it's not pre-season, but we've not played for 3 months. So I always get this, I'm a half glass full sort of guy. So I always get this optimism that West Ham are going to bounce back and go on a 9-game unbeaten run. But after the first couple of games, everything comes crashing down. So yeah, I'm reasonably excited.
Alf?
Well, considering this is our best pre-season for the last 10 years.
It's not a pre-season. But
it is. It's the best. Okay, it's the best mid-season pre-season that we've ever had. I would say I wasn't excited at all, to be honest with you. It's a weird one. I'm just kind of I went off the boil, but it's this last week I've just ramped it up again. I'm getting really excited. So I actually can't wait for next weekend now. Can't wait.
And Sean's done the disappearing act.
We scared him off.
Just like that.
Yeah. That's it.
Look at that. I'll tell you what, all the money he earns, he can't even afford a bleeding lampshade for his light bulb. Look at that. It looks like some bloody dust, isn't it? Has he got bleeding carpet on the windows? Oh, look, here he is. Look, he's back. He ain't got a clue what we're saying. Here he is.
Sorry. I didn't put a charger in, so suddenly my...
That was his knee impression.
We thought you were rushing off to... We thought you were rushing off to get an exclusive. Like, there must have been someone on the phone. Like, tell Irons United this.
Yeah, I was like, what are you doing on with those guys?
Well, all I'll say, after what we see, Sean, IQ is open. I think you need to get down there, son.
Yeah.
Nigel, are you excited? I know you've been watching Bundesliga.
Yeah, well, Cologne lost 2-1. You know, set a record, scored in their 18th straight league game, which they've never done before. But unfortunately, they're still only 6 points off relegation, even though they've only got 4 games left. Are
they the West Ham of Germany?
It certainly feels like that. Yes, the best days are in the past 30 odd years ago.
Yeah,
they've had some good times. They've been relegated. They've come back. They get 60,000 every week turning up. So,
yeah.
I mean, there's a couple of other teams you could probably pick out as being a West Ham type team in the Bundesliga, but you know, they're definitely one of them. To be fair, and unfortunately, I've sort of got saddled with them.
And how about you, Sean? Are you excited that it's coming back? Football?
I am excited. Yeah, I am. What watching party will I join? Will I join a Sky?
You've been invited to any?
Well, Sky have got their own watching party. I'm sure Claret Hume will be running one, and I'm sure more than just a podcast will be running one. I'm sure Irons United will be running one. So, choice of which watching party to join.
We'll let you know when we've set ours up, and you're more than welcome to come on.
Maybe I have multiple screens and join all of them.
There you go. Here's an interesting one. Scott, thanks for joining us. Maybe being with the club will change things. I saw texts from some of the young players asking Ngakia to stay. Do you think that's possible? Do you think the other players are trying to encourage him to stay?
Who did I hear? I hear Declan Rice spoke to Ngakia and had a word in his shell, like, as you Cockneys would say, to try and persuade him.
Spell's not a Cockney, mate. He's from Cyprus.
Well, on the podcast, you always say he's from Greece.
Oh, yeah, it's all the same, isn't it?
It's like calling you a Scot. You'll be happy with that, wouldn't you? There you go. Or a Welshman, even worse.
Oh, dear.
And there's another one. I think the club is holding the Ngakia story close to their chest. In my opinion, he's our player. I mean, it really is bizarre. It really is bizarre that he's played. I mean, I know we've said it 100 times already, but it is bizarre that he's played today. So who knows? Maybe there's a story coming out.
Now, I wouldn't have played him. I said it the other day still to you. Go. I don't want to hear about it. I don't want to hear your name again.
Yeah.
He's turned man and said, you know, he's playing us a game and a game. And if he steps up and signs another contract and whatever, he's only here for the money. We know that, you know, and fair enough. That's his right. We'll go somewhere else and do it, mate. I don't want to know. After 4 games, I've not seen enough of you to cry over you.
And Ashley has said the same thing. He must have a contract for another club lined up already.
Yeah.
And you know,
she got blue hair. Is that her real hair?
I don't know. Ashley, is that your real hair?
If she turns her face the other way, it's Claret.
It could be.
No, I'm of exactly the same opinion. If you don't want to play for us, go, leave. I don't care who you are. I don't care how many games you've played for us on your bike. Don't want to know.
Scott, I thought I saw a clip from Fredericks that said he had a minor knock. Well, he played, so he's over his minor knock. But let's hope he stays fit, because we don't know what the hell's going on with our right backs, do we?
Possibly.
No.
Oh, here we go. You're not going to like this one, Nigel. The viewing's up because Sean is on. Now, Now, Nigel, we got a whopping 7,000 viewers for our QPR review when we had nothing to say about the game, and Nigel claimed that one, and now Sean is going to claim that we've got over 80 views on this one. So who knows? Who knows? And as you said, Nigel, it's not my show because I get no one on Sunday nights.
But still, I'm there, mate. Don't worry.
Bo, maybe he feels betrayed by the club, leaking contract details and making him out to be greedy and uncooperative. I don't think that's the case. I don't know. What do you think about that, Sean?
I think that, look, the whole contract thing, and people have different views of this, is agents put stuff in the public domain.
Yeah.
The other side put stuff in the public domain. I know he's a 19-year-old lad, but let's not kid ourselves. This is a big, big business. And if we didn't know, in reality, nothing would be known. You know, if it was all behind closed doors. But we're obsessed. We're all obsessed. This is why your channel exists. This is why Clarence Hugh exists. This is why the podcast is this. This is why people used to read Nigel's articles in Overland and Sea. You know, we all want to know information. We're all hungry. We can't wait. We can't just rely on the official. He signed. He hasn't signed. He's left. You know, so it's very easy to criticise, but there's always two sides to every tale.
Yeah, exactly right. Exactly.
But that's easy for you to say because you run a website dealing in news. So you have to put that out where, you know, a lot of us just sit back and go, actually, mate, I couldn't give a monkey's.
Nigel, I'm just going to ask you a bit of thing, though. Do we release everything?
No.
Right?
No, I've got a saying that the truth is stranger than the fiction.
Yeah, I told these guys before we went on air that is not going to be written. Yeah. So, you know, we do have a filter. A lot of people may not feel this, but we do try and see what's good for the club.
Do you think some groups or some, you know, people that are involved, do some people overstep the mark for the need to be first in news? Do you think sometimes that sort of plays a role in this? Because we kind of talk about this, we laugh about this in Irons United. Of course, we'd love to have a snippet. Of course we would. Who wouldn't?
Yeah.
But you know, the need to get news out there so fast. I mean, you said it earlier, you know, about, you know, Amazon, you know, delivering and how you can't wait longer than a day to get something delivered. And we have become that kind of, we've become like that, haven't we? And news about our club is not much different. Whereas in the past, if you wanted to hear news, you had to wait for a story to come out in a newspaper or, you know, listen to a radio show or whatever. You know, now
or
it's
a fanzine like Nigel's at, you know, how would I have fanzine like Overland and Sea survive now?
But that says to me, but that's the thing, because the fanzine never broke news.
Yeah, maybe.
Well, not maybe.
Yeah, but I'd also to add, lads, I don't think, you know, we are alone in this. I think every club, every fan base is probably like this now.
We live in a West Ham bubble. And just to pick Nigel up, it didn't break news. Yes, we did. Yes, Gary Thurmager did break news because he used to do exclusive. He did an exclusive interview with Harry Redknapp, which ultimately got him the sack, did he not?
Yeah,
so
I found that interview the other day.
So it's untrue to say some of his adverts were news and things got released in.
Well, no, it wasn't news. It was an interview that he did every season at the end of the season to get Harry's feelings on how the season had gone. It wasn't, oh, this is an exclusive. He didn't run a 3-page advert or in 3 weeks running going, guess what's coming up in 3 weeks' time, lads? I'm talking to Harry. You turned up at the game and there he had his Harry Redknapp interview.
It's all content, Nigel. And nowadays, there's a blur between what's news and what's content. What we're doing now is content, you know?
Yeah,
so
I know what you do.
Right, one for Alf. Josh, Dad, can I get a McDonald's tonight?
if he buys me a pint at the supporters club, I might.
We ain't going to do that tonight, is he? Paul?
McDonald's then, is he?
Scott again. Bowen, Souček have to start. Rice, Antonio, Allaire, Balbuena, and Diop. So does that mean, Scott, that you wouldn't pick Noble in your starting lineup? And if Ogbonna, have we got any more news about Ogbonna? I know he's been carrying a knock. He didn't play against QPR, did he? He was on the sidelines, and we don't know if he played today. So, do we have any further news on?
I was told he can't train every day, but they were hoping that he would be fit enough to start against Wolves, or maybe that's what they want Wolves to believe. I don't know, but he couldn't train every day. Same with Cresswell, was carrying a bit of a knock and couldn't train every day, but he's been included in the picture you saw of the team picture. Could you see Oggs in there?
No.
Well, there you go. So I think it's more doubtful now that he'll play on in 7 days' time.
So who would we have? Sorry, go on, Alf. Go on.
No, I was just about to sort of go off on a tangent here. I was just say, I read a report earlier on that was saying that we've got definitely 6 or 7 players that are leaving the club this summer or after the season ends. But as a general remark over all the players, how committed do you think each player is going to be for these games, given that there's only another, a few games left, and then they might be trying to look for another club straight after?
You mean the players that are rumoured to be leaving, you mean?
Yeah.
But this is the interesting thing. It's like, I think what I asked earlier, if we're going to sell some of these players, are we going to sell them at a knockdown price? So people like Anderson and Allaire,
do you think, then let's turn it is, do you think you'll get more money for Anderson? Yeah. Bearing in mind we bought him from Lazio for like nearly 40 million.
Yeah.
Or whatever. Do you think we're going to get more for him, bearing in mind his performances in the last 2 seasons in the Premier League? Right, so that's one. So we paid 40 odd million for Haller. So just say we're thinking we need to get a bit of money, and we got offered money for him to go back to Germany. Do you think he's going to be offered more than 45 million or 45 million?
But I actually, Nigel, I don't think that's. I take your point exactly, but I don't think that's actually the most critical thing. It's whether they actually want to play for us, whether they've got the commitment for 100% to play for us. I'm not sure some of those players like Anderson, Haller, show it enough.
Alf, I think the issue is they want to play for themselves. They want to put themselves in the shop window. These games will be watched around the world probably more than any other Premier League. The Premier League starting games will be watched by billions instead of the normal. The UK alone will watch more Premier League games than ever before. No better time to put yourself in the shop window. Yarmolenko's agent came out and said he ain't going nowhere. Masuaku scored a goal and started. I think that they'll be desperate to start and show off to the world that they are the best players. So I don't know if it's about playing for the badge. It's playing for their careers and their reputation if they want to move. If they don't put any effort in, if they don't put the effort in for the West Ham badge, why would they put any effort in for any other club?
Anyone else?
Yeah. Well, the only losers out of this are going to be the clubs. The clubs, because as you already said, it's a depressed market right now. So that the transfer market isn't going to recover for another year or so, and certainly until January or next season. So they're only going to want to leave it if it's for personal gain. If they're going to get a better contract elsewhere in terms of their salary.
But you say that, but let's remember Moyes. The first time he was here, he had one transfer window, and we had to sell, and all he did was brought in Hugh Gill, wasn't it? So sold. I think IU left, or it was sell. We recouped 20 odd million, which they were banking for Pellegrini, because they gave the money to Pellegrini. He's come back in January. We've spent a little bit of money, not a lot, but this is still not a Moyes team, is it?
No.
So, and this is where the short-termism, without dragging it out long, of
not without
chopping the manager. Every manager we've then hired has actually been the complete opposite from the previous manager in style of play. Therefore, the players are not set up for his style of play. So therefore, we then have that, roll around where we get rid of 5 again.
Given that, we're not likely to sell players on the cheap, it looks like Moyes will have to work with the likes of Anderson and Allaire and people like that and get them to to play into the system that he wants. I mean, I've said it time again. I think Allaire is a decent player, and if he played to his strengths, he'll score a hatful of goals for us. I think Anderson does have another good year in him. I think he owes us that. And if they're not going to be sold on the cheap, then Moyes will have to work with them next season, and he will have to get. I mean, the only way that we're going to sell all these players is if we go down, because you can see a mass clear out.
Yeah, dependent on whether we stay up or go down. Yeah.
And the interesting thing with Yarmolenko's agent saying he ain't going anywhere is because he knows damn well Yarmolenko's not going to get 115 grand a week anywhere else.
Yeah.
So
you're only going to move if they're going to get a better deal.
He is on 150. He's on one of our top earners. What's he on then?
He's not. I get in trouble from when I confirm fee. But he's not on 115 grand.
Sorry, he's on 114,500.
It is a six-figure fee, but it's not 150.
All right, so it's 100 grand then. It's
okay. And any more rumours or news on Moyes wanting Arnautovic back?
No,
look, he's coming back. You're going to sell Anderson, sell Haller, and then bring back Arnautovic.
This is Arnautovic's brother. Right.
And especially, did you hear today? This is hot news that you probably don't know about it because, I watch the news like an idiot. China is set for a second wave. So all the players, they want to come away from China.
Well, you say that, but I read the same bit, Alf. 7 cases in a market made them shut down the market. The media, Project Fear, have now talked about a second wave. They shut down a market after 7 new infections. Let's not overreact.
But that market is just around the corner from where Arnautovic lives. And his wife buys the groceries there.
So, look, I don't think a second wave's coming.
He's not coming. It doesn't matter. Whether there's a second wave or not, he ain't coming back to West Ham.
You can get Moyes can get the dream team together, Arnautovic and Lanzini back together again.
The thing is, you're forgetting, it was Moyes that got the best out of Arnautovic. And
dog shit on the
village.
That's my point.
He did all his best stuff, but
If we play okay, what's the highest place you think we can finish?
13th.
Yeah, 14th.
If we play okay, I think we can get, top 6.
Really? 27. We've got 27 points. 27 to play.
Oh, what for the rest of the season? Sorry, it just says if we play okay. He didn't specify when are we playing okay or what game. Was it one game we're playing okay in?
In the last 9 games, mate.
In the next 9 games or the last 9 games?
Let's call the next.
So I think the highest we will finish will be 15th, and that's the highest. Yeah. And actually, I think we'll finish 16th or 5th.
I was going to ask actually. Do any of you think we are going down?
No.
Yes. Good possibility.
Very good possibility. Yeah. Very good.
Okay.
My real fear is that we're kind of. We're not really going to attack any games. We're not going to go after anybody to get
you said that. Yeah.
Get the points because we're so frail at the back. And it's kind of what we were saying before. We kind of have to be a bit more defensive minded just to protect that back forward.
But if you remember, the best games that we've had under Moyes is when we've gone on the attack. When we've tried to contain teams, we've been bloody awful. Yeah. And we've been, and it's only when he actually started to get the team to sort of attack a little bit, that's
he's only 1-2, isn't he?
He's only 1-2, mate. Yeah. But what I'm saying is we look better going forward than we do trying to contain teams.
He's nearly got the same record as Avram Grant, hasn't he, Nigel?
Good grief.
He's not far off of it. Avram was better in the cups, though, to be fair.
Look, Moyes is our manager. It's Moyes we trust.
The teams above us are all very tightly compacted. I believe we will win 4 or 5. We could move up to 12th or 10th.
There you go.
Realistically, we'd be 17th or 14th. Well, that about covers it all then, Scott.
No wonder he's smiling in his picture. He's got a very happy outlook in life, hasn't he?
You know what? I'll tell you what, come the end of the season, if we've just scraped it and we stay up, it will be a huge sigh of relief. If we do get relegated, it won't be a surprise to me. Put it that way.
And here's an interesting one, Ian. With fan absence, our players may feel less pressurised. We talked about this, I think, the other day. Thus, we are more likely to pull off a few unexpected wins at the Olympic Park. He doesn't call it the London Stadium, still the Olympic Park. Do you think that's possible? Do you think the fact that fans won't be there won't be getting on the backs of the players, and they'll feel less pressurised?
No, Nigel's so far away from the players they could never hear him shouting. You know, can't have it both ways, can you? You know, if we're so far away from the pitch, do they feel pressure? I don't know. I don't think we create enough pressure at the London Stadium for that to be a valid statement.
The only thing is, again, I don't know if you can get relevance to it. No home wins in Germany today.
Again.
How did you do? How did you do on Super 6 then, Nigel?
Not that.
Yes!
We'll cover that Monday. Fuck off.
We're not allowed to swear at this time of night.
Sorry about it.
Right.
But anyway, yeah. So the away games, you know, again, the home, it's showing the value of fans in the stadium. Yeah. Actually, I think in Germany, the fact that the home teams are performing, I think we still haven't had 10 home wins out of like 60 or 70 games now.
Does that bode well for us? But doesn't bode well for us.
No, because we got 5 home games, haven't we? Yeah. 4 away.
We got to win at least 4 to stay up. This must be related to Ngakia. There are 2 sides to every story.
Yeah.
You have.
I think it's all about Sean. Yeah.
Well, I don't think we have only given the West Ham side, to be honest. No, I don't know.
I think X has talked about the other side of the story as well. You know, the $8,000 a week demand came from the player side of the argument. So I think both sides have been put out there.
Did Declan wear the captain's band as a hairband? Have you seen his hair?
It is a bit
like Anton's.
It is a bit.
11 points on Super 6, Nigel. Yeah.
Yeah, all right. Crack on.
Here's an interesting one.
Their show, not ours.
Why are academy players always given the short end of the stick when it comes to salary, such as Oxford's transfer fee offset his wages? It's not just a West Ham problem. Newcastle have the same issues.
What do you mean the short end of the stick, though?
Yeah, I don't. Let's have another.
I think what he's saying is that when you progress from a youth player into signing your first professional contract, you're given less money than if you would have bought a player of the same age from an outside club.
Let me tell you, there is a wage structure. So you probably know we speak to Terry Wesley quite often. He now lives in France and works out in Japan in the K-League. And the wage structure is if you come through the academy, you know, the upper limit in the academy is $5,000 a week, right? Which is quite a lot. The exceptions to that, right, that broke that was Reece Oxford when he was offered $20,000 a week. It ended in tears. He had one good game against Arsenal. They offered him as a 17-year-old $20,000 a week. He fell into the wrong company. His form fell out, and now he can't even get into the German team of what we sold him for €2 million. So I know that everybody was saying, well, that's not fair. Why should everybody else be tarred with the same brush? But Ngakia, 14-year-old through the West Ham academy, would be on a similar wage structure to everyone else. If you give it to Ngakia and pay him $20,000, as people have said they should, right, or $8,000, whatever, and break that wage structure, next knocking on your door is Diagana, and some people say, well, maybe he should. And then it's Nathan Trott, and then it's Dan Kemp, then it's Nathan Holland, then it's, I'm trying to think who else, Elise, you know, all these players that went out on loan. Josh Cullen, you know, was saying, well, no, if he's got it, why do I not get it? Remember, this guy has played 4 games. Ben Johnson as well. Why is Ben Johnson not worth $20,000 a week? So it's a domino effect. You have to have a structure. I agree with the structure. The structure is a lower basic. If you start for the Premier League, you get $15,000, 10 or $15,000 a game. It incentivizes you to start. Then, when you've made a certain number of appearances, you get an automatic pay rise. and then when you make another 5, 15, you get another one, and 20. That's a good structure for an academy to have.
I told Sean a story the other day, just to put it into how it works in real life. I was told when I'd done my apprenticeship, don't stay with a company you did your apprenticeship with, because they won't offer you the money. Right, and this is gospel, it's true. I did my apprenticeship, 30 quid a week for the first year, 50 quid a week for the second year. They offered me 80 quid a week to stay. I got a job working in central London, £135 a week.
Yeah. By the way, you've got to tell them. You've got to tell them what year that was in, because we might have a lot of youngsters who haven't got a clue what. They must be thinking £85 a day.
1986.
There you go. God, you started working. I started working in before you did.
One of the exceptions to the rule is Hispanovic, if I can say his. He was on 15 grand a week. Now you could say he was brought in for the senior team, but he never played in the senior team, and that was always down to he was part of a deal to bring Arnautovic back in to it. That the agent, what's his name? You know who I'm talking about, from Mate of the Sullivans.
Barry Bazza.
No, Silky. It wasn't Bazza. It wasn't Silky. It was the other one. No, the one with the younger Sullivans. Who's the favoured agent at the moment? It will come back.
Oh yeah, I forgot his name.
He did a double deal, and Abanovic was part of that deal. He came as a package. If you want Arnautovic, you've got to take Seed as well.
Abanovic,
yeah, and therefore he got 15 grand a week. He's never played. We loaned him out to Sweden. We've just let him go for a nominal fee. But guess what? He had 2 years on his contract. That saved us £1.5 million in wages of a player that was never going to play. But that creates disharmony and upset. We're going, well, how can he earn 15 grand a week when he has never played for the first team? I think
someone did put a comment up, and you could look at people like Sanchez, who's on 70 grand a week, 70, or 50 grand a year,
or Wilshere on 100. Yeah, I agree.
100. This goes back to Declan. Sean, Scott's busy tonight. He's put a lot of comments up. Keep in mind, this is Golden Sullivan. Apparently, they've lost lots of money this year. I wouldn't put it past them in selling Declan Rice. But you've already said no.
They're a businessman. I like his moustache and his little beard. It's very nice, very fetching, Scott.
Are you going to have one as well now, Sean?
Yeah, I might grow one for November. Look, they've lost, before this COVID started, they already lost 40 million from the Pellegrini project, right? And you know,
I've got the violin ready for you, Nigel.
Right?
I love the way to see how. No, but this is the thing, people. He calls it the Pellegrini project. Yeah. So straight away, he's apportioning blame away from the people.
And Husilius. All right, the Pellegrini and Husilius project. Where we're still paying, by the way, 5 million. We've got outgoings of £17 million a month that we're paying at the moment, right? 5 million of that is still in instalments for players bought under the Pellegrini era, and another 10 million in wages from the Pellegrini era. So
see on the Pellegrini and Husilius, was there a story that broke about the two boys, the two sons, who were in the scouting system?
Yeah, of course they were.
And they took away all the information.
Well, I can't tell you that was true, because that could be libelous, but I understand that something left on a USB stick, and on allegedly, yes.
But they had a good scouting network, though, didn't they, Sean? You remember they had someone go out to Czechoslovakia and watch a game.
Come on, we don't say how sausages are made on this show. But no, seriously, 40 million loss already. Maybe another 40 million, and that's without us getting relegated. And the reason is there's no income. 8 million in refunds if everybody takes their season ticket refund. I don't know what you guys are doing. Another 23.5 million of cash flow they're missing out by not having the renewals now. If we start behind closed doors in early September, that's more money back. We're missing facility fees that we would have got from Sky. You know, we've had the store shut, right? Apart from a £15 shirt, you know, there's not a lot of cash coming in, and I know the little violins are going, and everybody's in the same boat. But let's not kid ourselves. I heard people say today on and saying West Ham aren't skint. You're lying. You're spinning for the crooks. No, they're going to inject at the end of this month £30 million in a rights issue, because without it, we won't be able to pay the payroll.
Is that on top of the 30 million they generated recently, or is that
No, it is. It's
million?
just taken a little while to get
right
get to the legal process where the rights issue goes through. So it was announced in April, but it's going to come in June before the payroll gets paid in June. So let's not kid ourselves.
Well, staying on the theme of money, here's a couple of interesting points. Let's only buy British players from the Championship. But the interesting thing is, don't British players or English players always get overvalued? You know, isn't that why a lot of clubs go abroad, because they think they can get players cheaper? Or am I wrong there? You know, I keep hearing, so even though we would like to get another couple of players like Bowen, we may not even have the money for that. But
the problem is, if you keep buying a Championship players, you may end up with a team in the Championship.
In the Championship, very true, mate. Most will be loans next season. Not much money around. Even Spurs, we don't care about Spurs, but even Spurs had to take out a loan.
Yeah, they did. We've got, for all our 7 viewers that are watching live right now, we've actually been on for over an hour. So, is there any way we should start to wrap this up?
Yeah. No, we got a load of more questions to come on.
You want to do it? You want to actually commit to it?
Just go for 3 hours, me and Sean. You're having a lot. I haven't even had a tea break. The thing is, I've run out of beer. The beer's behind me, and I'm thinking, if he's going to keep talking, I'm going to go around and get a beer and come back. So just let me know what you're doing.
Spurs borrowed 175 million from the Bank of England at 0.5% interest. Why could they do that and West Ham can't do that? Because we haven't got a stadium. They've borrowed against the stadium as security. Daniel Levy is a wise man, and you know it's hard to criticise.
He's a businessman. I wouldn't call him a wise man. He's a businessman.
Would you say he's better than Karen, Sean?
No, of course not. Why would I say that?
Should the club play? Should the club pay Canning Town Lens fans celebrating meme on the big screens in the stadium when West Ham score?
Yeah, of course.
He'd like that, wouldn't he?
Keep that question up. Keep it up.
Oh, what, you're gonna screenshot it?
He's gonna screenshot it and send it to Len.
Listen, before we carry on, just make sure next week we will be doing a live watch along. Of course, we'll have several guests. Sean and Nigel have both committed to coming on the show for a live watch along. And obviously, Sean, thanks for committing to coming on weekly to break some amazing West Ham news. Nigel, look forward to your history show you're going to do for us every week as well.
I'd love to be part of your off-air meetings, I'll tell you.
Us three, we get together, mate. I'll tell you what, we're brainstorming.
Right. Let's wrap it up. There are quite a lot of other comments, and my apologies that we can't get through them all. But we've been on over an hour.
Oh, I didn't need to send it to him. Look, he's watching.
Is he watching?
Look.
Is he there?
Hey, there he is. Canning Town Len. Yes, he is.
To be fair, I did send my drawing that Len done of me, the thin one, not the new one he done. Where he sort of fattened me up and stuck grey hairs on the chin.
It will probably be rejected.
Listen, actually, on that, I don't know if any of you guys, I know Sean and Nigel have Alf and Stell. I don't know if you've seen it, but Canning Town Len, he's a great artist, and he's doing these quality images online, so you can send in your picture and he'll do cartoonify it, I suppose you could say. And obviously
he is an animator.
He is an animator, yeah. Quality stuff. So have a look at it. Have a look at it, and if anyone's interested,
I don't know.
I mean, look at that. Right, I'm not being funny, right? Does that look like Sean? Come on.
10 years ago, maybe.
You know.
Hang on, that was in the Blowing Bubbles fanzine.
That's still drawn by Len. Dear, oh dear.
Here's an exclusive that even Len doesn't know. He's just committed to doing a weekly animation show for us as well.
He's
cheers, Len.
Cheers, Len.
What have you done to me?
Only 2 chins. He needs a few more.
Actually, that's not bad. That's not bad, Nigel.
I tell you, that's after coming on Wednesday night. He did that after Wednesday night on Irons United. Oh, dear.
Right, let's wrap it up.
Right,
We've only got three viewers left, so let's wrap it up.
Oh, they've
we
got
won today. That's all that matters. And it's a really important, friendly, pre-season, mid-season friendly game. We won, and Haller scored, and Ngakia scored, and Teke got one for them as well. Well done, lads. Keep it going.
Yeah, keep up momentum. Listen, thanks for tuning in. Of course, in the coming weeks, we'll be busy with the channel. We'll have our previews, reviews, watch-alongs, weekly shows, confidential
shows, breaking shows.
Sean and Nigel have committed to doing for us, and we'll keep them up. So make sure you subscribe to the channel. Let's get past 1,000 subscribers, okay? And let's get the views up. Hit the thumbs up, and come on, West Ham. Let's keep this going. Anyone got any last things they want to say before they go? Thanks, Sean and Nigel, for coming on as well.
Thank you, guys.
Don't forget to have a listen to More Than Just a Podcast if you want to hear 2 or 3 hours of myself and Nigel going on forever and ever. And I'm reading Clarence Hugh, obviously, for your latest news.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do that. Do that.
It's still like past 9 o'clock at night, so I will leave it there.
Anyway,
right.
See you guys.
Right.
Thank you all.
Take it easy.